Picture this. You are sitting in your annual performance review. You know, the exact scenario I'm talking about, right?
Oh, absolutely. Sweaty palms and all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've been prepping for this all week. You are absolutely bursting with pride. You have your little document open on your screen. You are perfectly postured, and you are ready to drop a list of your achievements like you are a certified undiscovered genius.
You've got all the receipts.
Right. You've got the data, the late night hours you pulled, the bullet points, highlighting exactly how you saved that Q3 deliverable.
And then you look across the desk. Or, well, let's be real about the modern workplace. You look across the Zoom screen.
Right. You look at their little camera box, and you see it.
You see your manager looking back at you with the blank, glassy eyes of someone trying to desperately remember if they locked their front door this morning.
Yes. Or they're subtly reading a Slack message on their second monitor.
Exactly. Either way, the lights are on, but nobody is home.
It is the most painful, visceral feeling in the corporate world. You are laying out your masterpiece, and they are just completely checked out.
Because it is the ultimate corporate reality check. I mean, in your head, you think you are invaluable.
Oh, totally.
You think the foundational walls of the company would literally collapse if you took a sick day. But to the company, to that manager with the glassy eyes, you are just an expense line attached to a digital avatar.
Wow.
You think you're a foundational pillar, but they don't even know what you do on a Tuesday.
Ouch. Just brutally ouch. But it's so true. Okay, let's unpack this. Today's deep dive is entirely about uncovering the massive friction between our own self-worth and actual corporate visibility.
It's a huge issue.
It really is. We are tearing apart how we communicate our value at work, and it sets up this incredibly polarizing debate. Like, are people just wildly overestimating their actual value to the company? Or is the fact that they aren't aggressively, constantly self-promoting the real communication problem?
And we are going to fundamentally disagree on this. I can already tell from how you set that up.
Oh, absolutely we are. Because looking at the mechanics of the modern workplace, I realized this isn't just about, how you write a self-evaluation or format a resume. This is about pure evolutionary survival.
Survival.
Yes. This is about whether or not you actually exist in an organization.
See, I see it completely differently. What I see is an epidemic of delusion.
Delusion. Come on.
No, seriously. Let's look at the actual reality of office dynamics right now. Is it a communication problem, or are people just wildly overestimating themselves? I'm going with the latter.
Okay, lay it out for me.
I take a deeply cynical stance on this, and if you look at the behavioral patterns across corporate environments, there is a very specific archetype we have all met.
Oh, I know you're going to say.
Right. The person who thinks that because they sent 3 scheduling emails, updated a spreadsheet, and managed to book a conference room for a Tuesday stand-up, they are suddenly the spiritual anchor of the entire department.
The spiritual anchor. That is such a vivid label.
It's hilarious, but it's real. These are the people who talk constantly about synergy and alignment.
Oh, the buzzwords.
Exactly. Facilitating cross-functional dialogue. They make absolutely sure everyone in a 10-mile radius knows they are facilitating the process.
Sure, they're vocal, but
let's dissect the psychology of what's actually happening there. They're confusing motion with action. They genuinely believe their administrative noise is the engine of the company.
I think you're being a little harsh.
But let's be ruthlessly honest. If that spiritual anchor disappeared tomorrow, the only actual difference in the office would be slightly less noise in the hallway.
Whoa, hold on. Wait. No, that is incredibly cynical.
It's the truth.
And frankly, it completely misses the reality of how human beings operate in a massive, complex organization. You're laughing at the person who actively talks about their work, but what is the alternative?
The alternative is actually doing the work.
Oh.
The alternative is generating tangible output instead of organizing a pre-meeting for the post-meeting.
No, the alternative is being the quiet martyr. And you cannot just sit there in silence, assuming the world is a perfect meritocracy.
But if your work is good...
Think about the person who is actually pulling the weight. The engineer who fixes a catastrophic database bug at 2:00 a.m. Or the designer who completely overhauls the UI over the weekend.
Right, the actual producers.
Exactly. If they don't actively narrate their value, they simply do not exist. Companies do not have ESP.
They shouldn't need ESP to see a fixed bug.
But your manager does not have a magical glowing dashboard in their office that shows a little green check mark every time you saved a project from disaster.
But narrating your value shouldn't be a full-time job.
It has to be part of the job. If you're the quiet martyr, the person just sitting at your desk, head down, doing brilliant work, waiting in silence for someone to organically notice your silent genius.
You're doing the actual work of the company.
No, you're going to be waiting forever. You have to communicate your worth, otherwise you become a ghost in the machine. Yes, you're just a phantom generating code or spreadsheets totally invisible.
You're completely missing the psychological mechanism here. You are blaming the employee for a systemic failure.
Am I?
Yes. And in doing so, you are validating a terrible behavior.
I don't think I am. Look, silent suffering is a guaranteed path to absolute irrelevance. Put yourself in the listener's shoes right now.
Okay.
If they don't brag, they don't highlight their wins, they get passed over for promotions, they get laid off, what exactly are they supposed to do?
No, listen to what you're defending. You're defending the noise. You are telling people to contribute to the pollution.
I'm telling them to survive.
There is a massive gap, a total chasm, between actual, tangible contribution and vocal inflation.
Vocal inflation. Okay, I know we see this everywhere, but explain the mechanics of it.
What's fascinating here is how this behavior actually functions as a defense mechanism. Vocal inflation happens when a colleague spends, and we all know people who do this, 50% of their day framing, positioning, and basically marketing their daily baseline tasks as heroic, insurmountable achievements.
Okay, yes, it can be annoying, but
It's not just annoying, it destroys organizational efficiency.
how does it destroy efficiency?
It creates massive information asymmetry. You are not communicating when you do that. You are creating a smokescreen of productivity.
This smoke screen.
Think about the cognitive load it puts on a manager.
Yeah.
You have one employee who quietly finishes a project.
Ghost in the machine.
Right. And another who writes a 5-paragraph Slack update detailing the grueling emotional journey of sending a client email.
We've all read that Slack message.
Exactly. And the manager's brain, which relies on the availability heuristic, naturally assumes the louder person is doing more work, simply because the information is easier to recall.
Exactly. You just proved my point.
No, let me finish. It's a smokescreen. The brutal reality is this. If your work actually solved a high-stress pain point for the business, you wouldn't need to write a 3-page essay defending your existence.
I don't know about that.
The results would stand on their own. You wouldn't need to inflate the vocal balloon because the structural impact would be undeniable.
The results would stand on their own. I have to push back hard here.
Push back all you want, it's true.
I am laughing because that is arguably the biggest, most dangerous lie in corporate history.
It's not a lie, it's how functioning businesses should operate.
Should operate. But it is entirely naive to how businesses actually function, especially now. Let's look at how modern companies actually measure value.
Okay, let's look at it.
Do you think the executive team is looking at your soul?
Well, no.
Do you think a VP sitting 3 states away is peering into the depths of your quiet, noble, hardworking spirit to see your underlying merit? No.
They look at the bottom line.
They look at metrics, they look at visibility. And in a hybrid or remote world, visibility is entirely dictated by who is speaking up.
But visibility of what? If it's just visibility of hot air.
Here's where it gets really interesting. In a remote work environment, if you are not visibly communicating, you are literally just a gray dot on a screen.
A gray dot that's actually writing the software.
But if the VP doesn't know your name because you're too noble to brag, who do you think gets laid off during the next restructure?
The loudest person should, ideally.
Let's be practical. Is it the loud person who everyone thinks is doing everything because they dominate the Slack channels, or the quiet martyr nobody knows?
So your solution is that we should just reward the sociopathic self-promoters?
I'm not saying.
You're saying we should all just become corporate narcissists. That's what you're advocating for.
I am absolutely not saying it's a moral good. I'm saying it's the reality of survival.
It's a terrible reality.
We have to look at the massive paradigm shift that has occurred in knowledge work. Communication isn't just a byproduct of the work anymore. Communication is the work.
I cannot accept that. No. The work is the work. The code is the work. The financial model is the work.
Disagree entirely. In the modern workplace, if you can't fit your value, you don't have any value.
That's absurd.
Think about it. It doesn't matter if you wrote the most elegant, bug-free piece of code in the world or designed the most flawless marketing strategy.
Of course it matters.
If you cannot articulate to the business why that matters, why it solved a specific problem, and why you were the one who did it, it effectively didn't happen.
That is such a toxic trap.
It's just the truth.
I groan every time I hear this argument because it completely degrades the concept of actual skill. It creates a culture where the packaging is more important than the product.
But the packaging is how people see the product.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this mindset, the exact mindset you are defending right now, turns office life into a really, really bad reality TV show.
A reality TV show. Come on, that's a stretch. We're talking about KPIs and project updates, not people throwing drinks at each other.
No, it is exactly like reality TV editing.
How so?
Think about the mechanisms of reality television. You can have a cast member who sleeps for 22 hours a day, reads a book, and is generally boring.
Right, terrible television.
Exactly. But if the producers only air the 2 hours where they are screaming at their roommate over a dirty dish, that becomes their entire character.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
The loudest, most dramatic, most self-absorbed person wins the screen time.
So you're saying vocal inflation is...
In the office, vocal inflation is people acting as their own deceptive reality TV editors.
That's actually a great analogy.
They edit out all the boring, routine stuff, and they only broadcast these highly manufactured, dramatic wins.
Right.
And in this culture of pitching and narrating, the loudest person wins the corporate screen time, even when their actual output is complete garbage.
Yeah.
We are incentivizing people to be marketers of their own mediocrity.
I hear you. The signal-to-noise ratio gets completely out of whack, but I have to bring it back to the individual listening to this right now.
Okay.
If the quiet genius gets fired because nobody knew what they did, how does that help the company? At least the vocal inflator keeps their job and keeps paying their mortgage.
But at what cost to their actual development? This raises an important question, maybe the most important question of this entire debate.
Which is?
What is the ultimate psychological danger of this vocal inflation?
I mean, besides annoying everyone on Slack.
Right. The real tragedy isn't just that it annoys management. The tragedy is what it does to the employee. When you spend all your time overestimating yourself, you stop improving.
Wait, how so?
Because you are so busy practicing your elevator pitch, so busy framing your basic tasks as heroic feats, that you don't actually have the cognitive bandwidth or the humility to learn anything new.
Oh, wow.
You end up believing your own hype.
Believing your own hype?
Yes. You start thinking that organizing that Google Drive folder actually was a strategic masterstroke that saved the fiscal year.
You buy into your own reality TV edit.
Exactly. Your actual hard skills stagnate. You become hollow. You become entirely a PR machine for yourself. But when someone actually looks under the hood, there is zero engine.
Yeah.
There is no actual product behind the marketing.
Okay. That is a very real danger. The reality TV trap. Becoming structurally hollow because you spent all your energy on the marketing copy instead of the product.
Precisely.
But I refuse to back down on the fundamental necessity of visibility.
Even knowing it makes you hollow.
Look at the alternatives we are left with. We are caught in a massive structural dilemma. What is the actual move here?
You do good work.
Do just put our heads down, do incredible work, and pray someone notices.
It's not about praying. It's about letting high-quality work speak for itself to the people who matter. You build a reputation through consistency.
But they don't see it. That's my whole point. You're talking about consistency, but the manager has glassy eyes.
And maybe you need a new manager.
They don't even know if they locked their front door, let alone if you optimized a back-end database process 3 months ago.
It shouldn't be like that.
But it is. I'll tell you exactly where I stand, because this is about survival in a flawed system. I would rather be a slightly hyped-up survivor than a silent martyr who gets replaced by a software update.
Replaced by a software update. That's a dark way to look at it.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you are just a silent ghost in the machine, eventually an actual machine is going to take your job.
Well, AI is a whole other topic.
If you were just a list of tasks, a silent generator of output that nobody associates with a human being who drives value, you are the easiest thing in the world to automate, outsource, or cut during a bad quarter.
So your solution is to just add to the pollution, to start yelling about every minor task.
I'm not saying yell about everything.
Every time you send an email, you want a parade.
No, I'm saying the pitch is a survival necessity. You call it a toxic waste of time. I call it the armor you have to wear to stay employed.
But don't you see how exhausting that is for the entire ecosystem of a company? Think about the compounding effect.
It is exhausting, I'll admit that.
If everyone is doing what you suggest, if everyone decides they need to be a hyped-up survivor, then 90% of corporate communication just becomes people bragging at each other.
Right.
Nothing gets done. The entire day is just sitting in meetings, listening to people narrate their own movies, trying to outpitch each other. It's an arms race of hot air.
I admit, It is a messy balance.
Mhm.
We are caught between two terrible, extreme
That's
options.
extremely terrible.
Vocal inflation on one side, where you become a hollow PR machine, and being a ghost in the machine on the other, where you get laid off because nobody knows what you do.
It is incredibly messy because the truth is, both of these extremes are forms of total failure.
Failure. How do you figure?
The person bragging about booking a conference room is failing to understand what drives the business forward.
Okay, true.
But the genius who never speaks up and gets laid off is also failing to understand how a business functions.
Oh.
They are both failing to bridge the gap between their daily actions and the company's actual needs.
So what's the framework here? If neither yelling nor silence works, how do we thread this needle? Because the people listening to this are going to go to work tomorrow, and they need to know what to do when they finish a project.
The synthesis of this entire debate comes down to a very specific, actionable framework.
Okay, lay it on us.
Translating your work into business impact metrics without falling into vocal inflation. It all comes down to the ultimate test of self-awareness, knowing whether you are actually solving a problem or just narrating your own movie.
Okay, make that concrete for me. How do I know which one I'm doing?
It's about mapping your task to a specific high-stress pain point for the business. Let's say you're the quiet martyr who optimized that database.
Right,
If you stay silent, you lose.
obviously.
But if you fall into vocal inflation, you write a 3-page essay about how hard you worked on the code. Both are wrong.
Right, so what's the middle ground?
You communicate the impact, not the effort.
Impact over effort.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't talk about how many hours you spent. You say, I cut server latency by 10%, which saves us $5,000 a month in AWS fees, and means the sales team's dashboard now loads instantly when they're on a client call.
Boom, that's it.
Exactly. If you are genuinely solving a pain point, you need to communicate it, yes. But you don't need a 3-page essay. The value is obvious because it speaks the manager's language.
The metrics language.
Right. If you find yourself having to constantly spin and hype up your daily tasks using buzzwords like synergy and alignment, you aren't solving real problems. You're just generating noise.
That makes total sense.
The real value isn't in how loud you talk, but it's also not in how quietly you suffer.
It's about the reality of the impact, not the story you tell about yourself, but the actual substance of the result.
Precisely. Are you a spiritual anchor, confusing motion with action? Or are you a quiet martyr, secretly believing that your silence makes you morally superior, when really you're just afraid of being visible and facing criticism?
Wow. It's a brutal mirror to look into,
Yes.
especially when you're prepping for that performance review we talked about at the very beginning.
It definitely changes how you approach it.
You go in there with your list, hoping to wake up that glassy-eyed manager, and you really have to ask yourself what you're actually putting on the table.
Are you solving a problem or just pitching yourself?
Exactly. So what does this all mean? We're going to leave you with a slightly uncomfortable question today.
Oh boy.
I want you to mull this over during your next workday. Maybe during your next team meeting when you feel the urge to speak up, or conversely, when you decide to hold back and stay silent. Look closely at your own daily communications.
Really look at them.
Are you actually valuable to the people around you? Or are you just really, really good at editing your own reality TV show?